Hello, welcome to an anime story podcast. This is a podcast where we're going to talk about anime. My name is Jake. I'm one of your hosts. To the top right is Mandy. She's one of your other hosts, and to the bottom left we have Noah. He's your third host. This is the first episode, so we don't have a guest today. We're planning on having a guest every week. We'll be streaming at the same time every week, Saturday at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock GMT. It's Denver time. But yes, this is going to be a podcast about anime, and our focus is going to be on the storytelling of it. Again, my name is Jake. I come from a writing background, the writing perspective. I've watched a lot of anime. I love anime, but I haven't seen as much anime, probably nearly as much anime as these two right here. But that's my perspective, is from the writing. Mandy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I come from a background. I also have watched a ton of anime on staff at AnAnimeStory. I've been watching it for over 20 years, and so I just get really excited going through all of the character development and build and everything on any great one.
So, man, I know you've seen I think all of the anime. Is that right?
Literally all of the anime.
All the things.
All of them, yes.
All the things.
So he's a lot of experience. I struggle to ever find an anime he hasn't seen. Maybe you can. Maybe you can suggest one. So today our discussion topic is going to be My Hero Academia. It's a fabulous show. I love this show. Mandy, how about you? You like it?
I do. I actually really
think it's
like
all right?
this. Huh?
You think it's all right?
Oh, no, it's more than all right. I think it's pretty awesome. I think they do a great job with it. What about you, Noah?
It's rare for me to find an anime that I enjoy, that I also think is well enough written that I can recommend it to other people. Usually It's kind of like I watch an anime and I'm like, oh, that was so good! I'm probably not going to tell anyone about it, but I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, My Hero Academia been a fabulous show. I just started watching it this year. I know it came out, I guess last year or the year before, a couple years ago. But what a good show. What a well-written show. It's been my favorite. I think it's a great anime. If you know anybody who doesn't really watch anime, it's a great show to get them into, because it's not, sometimes anime can be a little weird. It's not super weird. It's great, especially if people like superhero genres. Movies out.
It is absolutely more on the tame side of things. There's some anime that I watch that are just like, oh, that was so good. But if the people I recommend it to don't watch lots of anime, they're going to feel very uncomfortable the entire time.
No, absolutely.
Great especially for people like that.
Yeah, and I really love, so there's a character, All Might, in My Hero Academia, who is like he seems to be some sort of like Japanese stereotype of Westerners, and there's a problem that happens in a lot of anime where Japan will be a little bit xenophobic, and they'll kind of represent Westerners in an offensive way, but I really love the way All Might's character is portrayed in My Hero Academia. He has this I guess like ignorant Westerner kind of stereotype thing going on. Someone asks him a question and he'll laugh loudly rather than answering the question.
Well,
but it's portrayed in a comical way, and it's stated several times that he's putting on a persona to like mask who he actually is.
Yeah, no, and I think that's an interesting thing that happens in a lot of anime, is the kind of kind of funny, pokey portrayal of Westerners. Oh, they don't even know how to use chopsticks, kind of thing, and that's fine. But it's interesting to see the portrayal of that character as being, putting on a persona. Just the way they've done the character. But wonderful character. Now before we get into anything too crazy like that, I'm gonna slow us down. I was just gonna say what we're gonna do. The way our show is gonna be working. Every day we're gonna open up, say hello, introduce ourselves again, and then we're gonna go into discussion topic, what we're going to talk about that day, and then at the end of the episode, we'll have a couple of things to talk about. I guess we'll just run through it. There's a few different categories of things that we're going to talk about with respect to the show: the sound and music, the writing, the art, and the miscellaneous category. So, My Hero Academia. No, I think a big topic we were talking about was the animation, weight, and motion. Makes it feel really good in this show.
Yeah, no, so a very common problem in a lot of anime is characters not having weight behind their actions. Someone gets hit and it doesn't affect them. There's no sense of kinetic energy, there's no sense of gravity. My Hero Academia does a lot of building to that, though. Characters, we see visible signs of the impact of actions. The character All Might has this great tell that is, when he's getting weakened, we see streams of white smoke coming off of him. And it's this great way to show the audience how badly he's doing and to give a sense of to communicate what's going on to the audience without having to tell them. A lot of times in bad storytelling, people will convey to the audience what's going on purely through dialogue.
Yeah.
They will show something and then they will have characters explaining what the audience couldn't have understood from the visuals. And My Hero Academia does a great job with the visuals, being able to display what's actually going on. They build up a lot the swings.
No,
I know that you particularly liked the injuries that Midoriya gets.
This is about some of the weight and emotion that they use. Again, like you were saying, it's the art. If it doesn't have weight to it, it doesn't feel as interesting. It doesn't feel as good. When Midoriya punches. Also, I guess I should say if you haven't seen the show, there's spoilers here, so that I feel like that goes without saying, but I might as well say it. But when Midoriya uses his power, he punches for a while anyways. Every time he used his power, he would severely damage a limb, and so he'd be running around in whatever situation he was in with his arms kind of flailing uselessly behind him. And the artwork actually, it just has a lot of weight to it, which just makes it feel really good. It makes it feel it gives the character weight because you can see his arm, falling around here. The characters have just done very well artistically. If you ever take any art classes or do any animation, you understand the value of weight. Keeping a character's feet under them and making everything feel like it's actually heavy, and how you do that. Now, I'm not an animator or anything, but that. Understanding the importance of that, you can see it. Really, they do quite a good job with it in this show, for all the characters.
Well, and I think we kind of see the beginnings of that, especially in the first episode, where All Might deflates, and then you see that he's got the huge wound on his stomach. That's not a spoiler because it's in the first episode,
right?
But it sets up a precedence for the rest of the show, which is really interesting, I think, in a creative way, and that it shows that impact is so necessary. And it's the same in theater, too. When you can't really be in the moment, then it takes you out of it. So I feel like My Hero Academia does a really nice job of keeping you in the moment from each scene, moment to moment.
Yeah, scene for scene. Oh, yeah, no. And that's going to get into some of the writing stuff. Again, the writing in the show is really just really, really spot on. The characters, the character conflict, and just the flow from scene to scene, really good. Does keep the whole thing moving really fast. No, you had a comment?
So on the topic of the injury that All Might has,
Uh-huh.
this is something I really like that My Hero Academia does. We have this theme of like permanent injuries, of
Mm-hmm.
long-term injuries
Yeah.
that characters get from various events in the story. And this is something that keeps Midoriya from using his power, is the concern that he will permanently damage himself and not be able to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job of building that up episode to episode, fight to fight. Each time he uses it gets worse and worse, and
Right.
we see it with other characters as well, such as there's a character who Ingenium,
Uh-huh.
who
Yeah.
is crippled by the supervillain Stain, and he
Forever.
can, yeah, he can
Probably.
never be a superhero again because his injuries are so severe.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this kind of theme we have, and this like actual weight to injuries makes the fights feel so much better.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and the actual like plot weight of the injuries. Yeah, like Midori is not just it's not just the physicality of his arm being this way, but it's the doctor's being like, yeah, if you do this a couple more times, you're never gonna be able to use your arms again. And that's not even just you can't be a superhero anymore. That's you can't use your arms anymore. Ugh, that is horrifying. Yeah, they do that really well for all the characters. That which is a great again, like when you have something like Midoriya's power, uh, the All for One, it's an interesting. It's kind of you're not quite sure exactly what the limitations of it are, and with that, like what the actual limitations of the power are. Is he gonna can he defeat this person? Maybe. Whoever it is, he might be able to. It might hurt him, but that's beside the point, because if he does that, he might literally never be able to fight again or use his arms again. So it's not even necessarily about whether or not he's going to win or lose the fight. It's is he going to be able to continue after this? Is his goal of becoming the world's number one hero even going to be capable of being realized? That's that again. Yeah, like you're saying, the weight of that really fantastic. Mandy, do you have any other comments on what were you saying something about All Might's injury?
I was talking about the stomach and like the weight of the art and how they do it so smoothly in the
Mm-hmm.
way that they transition from frame to frame, and it's just really nice to see that across the board.
Here's a question: what do you think of the character design in the show?
The character design, I feel like they set up each character very well. I like how each one has an objective and they follow it very quickly. And so, even in their given circumstances, that, this is a hard choice. And what are they going to do to get what they want? And watching Midoriya go through that and make that decision based on, maybe losing his arms.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do? And how that propels him into the choices he makes. And I like Todoroki for the same reason.
Yeah, Todoroki. He's a great character. He's one of my favorite characters in the show. Although he's kind of not a whole lot is happening with him just now. If you're on season 3, he's kind of slowed down. So now with respect to the artwork, something I was going to say is I think the character design is great, and I think we've had a couple of discussions about All Might in his design. He's this big, very westernized, giant heroic character, and that's the whole theme. American flags, Ohio smash, Delaware smash, etc., etc. That his character design, it's very Western.
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue. Mm-hmm. Big, strong jaw, smile. Yeah, great design there. Love Midoriya's design. As far as a lot of the other characters, also really speaks really well to their character. I think probably Bakugo is one of my favorite characters aesthetically. It's just angry. He just looks angry all the time.
So this is something. This is a major problem, I think, in a lot of anime, that designers try to make the characters different enough that they can be recognized and distinguished,
Right. Yeah.
and usually it comes in the form of, what if they had a different hair
What if their
color?
hair was bigger?
Mm-hmm.
Can we make their hair bigger? Yeah.
But yeah, every character in My Hero Academia is so distinct from all the
Mhm.
others. It's really not likely anyone's ever going to mix up any two characters
Yeah.
visually, because
Yeah.
they're
Probably.
so
Probably
unique.
the only two that I think you'd probably have trouble with would be like Bakugo and oh gosh, the hardening guy. Uh,
Oh yeah,
God, I can't remember his name just now.
But still,
Hmm.
Kirishima.
Kirishima. Hmm.
even still, I don't feel like they're even that close. I mean, if you look at even the art style, his hair is
Mhm.
more it's red. He's
Kir-
like there's just a lot more going on. He's more like thin
Right.
So
build.
Kirishima has his hair sticking upward at the front,
Uh-huh.
whereas Bakugo's spikes downward to cover his forehead a little bit much,
Uh-huh.
and it makes Kirishima feel more like open and Bakugo feel more like closed off as a character.
Oh yeah, that is true. I do recall that, seeing that hair kind of sticking down a little bit in front of his eyes. But no, yeah, the character design, really really delightful.
Yeah, his
Um,
spiky hair showing off his
spiky hair.
spiky personality.
It-
Perfect.
Yeah, it's red spike, or does he have red hair?
Kirishima's
Kirishima
got
has
red
red hair.
hair.
What color is?
Bakugo's got blonde hair,
Oh right, and his
which is maybe significant because I've heard that blonde hair is a sign of delinquency in Japan,
yeah, that's fair.
and Bakugo having blonde hair might be trying to paint him in a certain light.
Yeah, that's
What
fair.
do you think, Mandy?
What I don't understand delinquency.
I think all the angry, rebellious kids are doing it, dyeing their hair blonde.
Okay. Well, I
But
guess
then-
that could be true, because if you think about even bringing into Full Metal Alchemist, he got into a lot of trouble and he was blonde. So
It's true. It's true.
Oh.
It's fact. We've figured it out.
I mean,
okay.
Full Metal Alchemist, the main character in that is specifically that type of character, right? He's like the I had a rough childhood for understandable reasons, but like doesn't like society and is kind of rebellious. And so like painting him that light makes a lot of sense.
and it kind of makes sense for All Might too, because he's the happy one going into battle with a smile. He's rebelling against whatever is
And
happening in the moment.
I think for All Might, it might be that his blonde hair is more to show off him being kind of like that Western stereotype, right? Because
Mhm.
blonde hair is specifically
Blonde hair, blue eyes, piercing blue eyes. Yeah, I could definitely get on board with that. Real quick, I want to touch on the intros, because intros in My Hero Academia, wow, great, wow, what great intros. I loved the first season intro. I loved the first arc second season intro. I think let me think. I think the second arc second season intro was okay. But Mandy, tell me about what you think of the intros, because I know you were talking about one of the intros you didn't like.
So in the intro, so especially from first, second season, they set up the story so well, and I feel like the intros and the endings all played very well into the stories. It felt like there was a arch, there was a good beginning, middle, and end. And so when we hit third season, in the first intro, I felt like it was really lacking. It felt like, especially not the first part of the intro, second, but like towards the second to the end, it just seemed like they were throwing things at you that weren't story related.
Hero pose.
Like, okay, that's great, but this is we're already set up. Like, why are you throwing this at us?
Right.
And so that's why really bothered me. And then I feel like they picked up the ball in the second part of this third season. So I feel like one was really great. I loved how All Might shoves Midoriya, and that
Yeah.
starts the whole beginning, middle, and end, and it really sets you up for the story. And I always watch the intros. I always watch the endings. That's really important to me because I feel like it always sets the tone. And that third season first intro really didn't set the tone very well. But the show itself is so great. It's like, okay,
Right.
well, I can get over that.
Oh yeah, you can get over bad intro, especially when they've had so many good intros. Because something that I think an intro really needs to do is it really needs to, say something about the story, or it should. Because if you're gonna skip the intro, why is the intro there? It's to fill time. I love the first season intro because of just you're getting the character motivations. Something I think we were talking about was you have obviously All Might facing away from beginning of the first season intro. All Might standing there, Midoriya reaching towards All Might and their stars. There's a moment in the intro where you have Midoriya and Bakugo facing each other as kids, and they flip around and they're facing away from each other as adults. It's reflecting their relationship. It's the intro. Watch the intro. Watch what all the characters are doing in the intro. It's reflecting what their struggles are. It's reflecting what their motivations are. Maybe even listen to if you read some of the look up some of the lyrics, the translations for the lyrics for some of the songs, because some of the songs really speak a lot to the show, or a lot to what the characters are going through in the show. But go ahead now.
I would say that the intros are so good and they do such a great job of telling a story and foreshadowing what's going to happen later in the season, that because the intros have been so good, when they had an intro that fell off and just kind of felt like any other anime
like
intro,
yeah.
When that happened, though, to any degree, it was noticeable. I think if the intros had always been bad,
then it wouldn't have been I think probably even the worst intro they had is higher quality than most intros, because again, most intros are just like, here's a character, action pose, here are the characters getting sushi together.
The intros are great in that actually having a story told to us during the intro, actually being able to see metaphors and significance, it is so good in the foreshadowing in it. I love to be able to see a new intro and to try to guess at what's going to happen in the arc coming up. That is awesome. That makes me engaged.
Maddie, were we telling? I think we were talking about the intro for this arc right now. Also, just as a note for anybody who's listening, we are not talking about the manga. We are talking about the anime. I haven't read the manga. I don't think Noah's read the manga. I don't know if you've read the manga. But maybe there's some extra stuff in the manga. We're not talking about that. We're talking about My Hero Academia, the anime, as its own work standing by itself. So if it's not in the anime, then we're not thinking about it. And this is what I was. So with the most recent intro, in the intro, there's like moments that. So at the very last moment of the intro, you have all the characters standing there, and then Bakugo and Todoroshi are looking away from the others. And that, maybe that's because they run off in the first part of that arc where they're getting their provisional licenses, or I don't know, maybe something else is going on. There's a little moment in the intro where you see what is his name, Todoroshi's father, and he makes this like kind of motion, and then you see Todoroshi does the exact same motion, and oh, that's scary. Well, what does that mean? I love that. I love it when the intro does that.
Show his fire side too, which is an aspect, because his father is the all fire, and then turns his head the same way, and this side's the
and he's mirroring exactly what he's doing, which is I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a good thing to do that. But intros are great. They've done a really good job on almost all of them. I would say almost all of them they've done a good job on, and some of them they've done an amazing job on.
I'm with Noah in the sense that they did such a great job.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite up to par. At least most were like, Wait, what?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But okay, so yeah, the intro's great stuff. As far as the writing goes, the characters, there's a couple different things that when you're looking at characters that make a character really interesting. There's the character's motivation, and there's the consistency in the character development. Those are kind of two main aspects of a character that decide how they are and how they act and what they do. Aside from their little personality quirks, this character being angry or that character being quiet or however they act, but they're always acting. A character's always acting towards his motivation, and having a consistency of development with a character, especially in a longer running series. That's a thing that makes a character really interesting. So what's their motivation? Are they consistently developing? So Noah, how do you feel about those two things right now?
This is something that I think is one of the most common problems in anime.
Yeah.
Is creating static characters who don't undergo character development, and maintaining constant character development is very difficult to do. There are things on the other end of the spectrum, like Steven Universe, for example, which has constant character development despite kind of failing in most other respects.
Right.
But just having constant character development for all the characters is great. It makes that show worthwhile and worth watching, because the characters grow and they change, and we're with them for the change, and we understand them because we know who they were. My Hero Academia does this cool thing where it seems like it centers in on a few characters, and then it expands outward, and it introduces new characters, and it develops them a little, then it goes back to the characters it started with and tries to progress them a bit farther, and like it expands out and goes back.
Right, yeah. No, absolutely. That's because you have to obviously develop the main characters, but all the characters on the periphery, that's one of the things that gives the story a lot of flavor. So, focusing on them and then going back out, they've done a great job of developing almost all the characters.
Invisible Girl,
what's your deal? I just don't know. She's just there.
She's there. I feel like they did kind of at the beginning of this third season arc, especially like in the intro, they have her like refracting the light.
Yeah,
and so
that was interesting. Because I don't even understand. I don't understand what her quirk is. Is her quirk that she can control the light, like photons or something? Like she's like the Predator? Is that what's going on?
I need to see this because Invisible Girl has been in every intro, but she's so hard to spot.
She's invisible. And it's funny because we were, I think, most of the way through season 2, we're sitting there going, "Oh my God, have we just not noticed her because she's invisible? Has she been really well developed, but she's just invisible? Are we bad people?"
Well,
no, they really haven't said much about her. There's interesting things. I don't know. I feel like she's an interesting character.
I think they're going to develop her this season because they put her at the very front of the intro.
Yeah. No, well, and that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I feel like they're saving her for something. Because why is she there if she's not being saved for something? I don't know what it is. I don't know if it makes me think. It almost makes me think that she's going to be a bigger plot character. She's going to add to the larger story about what's going on with the bad guys, but who knows?
I want to believe that they were just disappointed with how no one ever spotted her, so they put her at the front. Because at the end of the season 3 opening with her in it, she's got her gloves, she's got her boots, and she's moving her hands, and they're foreshortened, so they're bigger than a lot of stuff. Her hands, each hand is the size of any given character in terms of real estate on screen, and she's moving them, and she points one, and it looks like they intend to develop her this season. It looks like they want to do something with her because she's kind of been a gag character, and honestly, her quirk, what's she gonna do that's interesting with it? I feel like they're kind of at a disadvantage in developing her Mandy, you were saying there was something about her refracting light, or
Yeah, so in I think was it the most recent episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the most recent episode, she did this weird like light refracting thing and it blinded people. Was that?
wait, did you watch episodes without me, Jake?
Oh, no, no, no! I didn't do that. I'm just guessing.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
Mandy, what did you think of that?
I think that they're saving her. I think that she's got more to her than meets the eye. Even her
Yeah.
embarrassment over being naked,
Mhm.
even though nobody see
Yeah,
her.
that joke's been made a bunch of times.
And the other thing is it active or is it something that she can actually turn off?
You know, that's such an interesting. You know, we've wondered that. You know, can she turn it off? Because there's sometimes she can't be or she's not invisible. Like,
But
why is she?
they've never seen her, so
Is her quirk just that she just like turned invisible one day? That would, I feel like that would suck.
Presumably, she can't turn it off because if
Yeah.
she could turn it off, why would she be invisible at every moment
at
that
every
she's on
moment of time.
screen?
Yeah. No, that would
right.
be. You know, yeah, but interesting. She's an interesting character. I feel like getting back to the consistency of development. I think Bakugo has had such awesome development, and for the vast, I mean, for the all of seasons 1 and 2, and most of season 3, the development has been incredibly subtle. You know, and which is something really hard to do. It's also something really hard to do because I'm also talking about too the dubs, but the character development, making character development subtle and having that subtlety come through in a dub. Damn, they did a good job with that because it's also great. Like Bakugo's such a great character because God, he's such an ass. But I like the guy. Like I like you, Bakugo. I also you really get him. Like he has obvious motivations. Say
With
that
the
again?
subs, that as well. With the subs, that as well.
Yeah,
It's like there's something about him that you just like.
yeah. No, and I think that's also this is a great interesting thing because the conflict between Midoriya and Bakugo is really interesting because we obviously we know what Bakugo's motivation is because he spends lots of time yelling it at the top of his lungs. He's going to be the best, and he is the best, and this and that. And we know Midoriya. That's also Midoriya's motivation too. Is he wants to be. He has a little bit more less selfish reasons. Is he wants to be the greatest hero in the world. He wants to save people. He wants to make people feel safe. That's he wants essentially the same thing for slightly different reasons that Bakugo does, and that is a wonderful mechanism to keep the two characters in this like kind of light state of conflict. Because they can't both be the number one hero. That can't happen. So obviously, this is going to make Bakugo kind of frustrated with Midoriya, but he can't because he's really confident. He can't really take it too seriously because he knows he's way better than Midoriya anyway. And then when Midoriya does things that are really awesome and proves that maybe Bakugo isn't better than Midoriya, Bakugo gets so mad. I love that conflict between two characters. That's not like it's just a kind of a passive hot cold conflict. I love it. Anyway, no.
We also have this beautiful thing that My Hero Academia does, that they have multiple storylines simultaneously, which like mirror each other, which like make similar points. We have the Endeavor versus All Might like story where they're competitive. It's number 2 chasing number 1, and it's a mirror of Midoriya and Bakugo.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that so much.
And it's like Bakugo's development being subtle is great, and it's beautiful because a lot of anime, when they're trying to be subtle, will continually throw dialogue
Yeah.
at the viewer and be like, "Did you notice how subtle we are with this character?"
With this character development, weren't we
With
subtle? Yeah, no,
with
for sure.
Bakugo, we have like 2, maybe 3 times where like Eraserhead or various other characters will
Hmm.
mention Bakugo's development,
Hmm.
but it's not like smash you in the face with it like a lot of anime.
Yeah, no, and that's really funny. That's really interesting. Because Todoroshi, one of his things for a long time was that he's terrified of becoming his father. He doesn't. He doesn't not want to become his father. But really, the only character that's really in serious danger of becoming Endeavor is Bakugo, and which it mirrors the relationship between All Might and Endeavor so well. The relationship between Midoriya and Bakugo, or God, did I say that right? But Midoriya and Bakugo's relationship mirrors Endeavor and All Might's relationship, and that's awesome. That just because totally unrelated characters. I think where does Todoroshi fit in there? I love how we do continually kind of get the little bits of backstory.
I would like to applaud My Hero Academia for not doing what every other anime does with a character like Bakugo and being like, they're just a villain who won't develop. Take that,
Yeah,
audience.
no,
And then I'm
really.
like, no, the tears.
Hey, Mandy?
Have to bring up the fact that I love the parent episode with meet Bakugo's parents, like
Uh-huh.
not volatile, but she's so happy.
Yeah, she's a little abusive though, don't you think? Like smacking him around.
Oh God, yeah.
Like maybe this is why he's so angry. I feel like this is your fault. I mean, I kind of like you because you're kind of interesting, but I feel like you're not a very good parent.
A little bit.
Yeah. No,
But I love how those parental interactions come in at several different parts in each character's life. And Todoroki's dad, and then seeing his past with his mom, and the closeness of Midoriya with his mother,
mm-hmm.
and like each of those little pieces that they just, they don't slam you with it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel lightly brush on it, like, oh, here's a little bit of this, and so I feel like it really gives you a 3D, well-rounded version of each character. Like, this is a real person.
Yeah, it's complicated.
I think My Hero Academia does really well. They will focus in on a group of characters they want to develop, and then they will split away from that and take a bunch of side characters and develop them all at once. They'll do like everyone gets a battle, and they develop each character a little bit through the battle, or like the parent thing where they split and they're like, let's see everyone's parents and like the home they grew up in, and that was awesome because that gives us so much more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, because it does. It gives us, especially with like character like Bakugo, who's very shut off to what his emotions are, and he's never gonna admit any feelings of any kind. Then you get to see his mom like smacking on him, and his like incredibly passive father. That's such an interesting thing to see. And just I think we got to see 4 or 5 different characters' parents. I'm wondering, oh God, what is the character with the sticky balls on his head?
Minoru. Mineta?
Mineta?
Mineta.
Yeah, I think it's Mineta, yeah.
Mineta, yeah.
Minoru Mineta.
Ooh. Yep. We care. We really do, don't we? No, but wow, I wonder what his home life is like. Because he is a repressed little guy.
I wonder how he passed the initial exam. Did he rescue someone? Did he like somehow destroy robots? Did he like?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, did you trip on one and it broke? Because I can't think of a way he would have done that. He certainly didn't get in on recommendations.
Yeah, this definitely feels like one of those anime things where they're like, this is a place that is very difficult to get into, and everyone earned their spot here. Even if you can't see it, we will show how badass they are later on. Yeah. And then there's Mineta, and it's like I get it.
I get, I can even get,
How?
but yeah, Mineta, that's fair. He got in somehow. He got in somehow. Uh, uh, another thing we were talking about with the development, that chat was just mentioning was getting to see everybody's room. Uh, that was awesome. I think one of my favorite things ever was getting to go inside Tokiyami's room and have it be super dark and like skulls and a sword, and he's just like a super edgelord in his room. Oh my god, that was wonderful. That
It
that made my heart.
would
It was
bring
great.
you.
Uh huh. But delightful. Yeah, the character development, the consistency in the development has been delightful. Even in some of the side characters have developed really really well. Midoriya, interesting. One of the things that he's been doing for a little while that I think is great is initially he was really just wanted to be kind of All Might. He wanted to imitate All Might. And he's moved to this really interesting place where he's kind of developing who he is, which is also reflected in the opening credits. But he is developing into his own hero. He's not just trying to copy All Might. He's doing this thing with the kicks. I love that. I love the way that All for One has kind of, how it kind of manifests itself in All Might versus how it manifests itself in Midoriya. I like his green electricity stuff going on. I like that he's fast. Although, to be fair, All Might's fast, but it's more that Midoriya's shtick is kind of that he's really fast now. And I think his developing into kind of his own kind of character and not just being little All Might, that's great. And I think that's great for him as a character.
I also love that Midoriya is a nerd who
Mhm.
has notebooks with all
Yeah.
the heroes written in them and flips through them and thinks through his problems,
Yeah.
because giving us a mechanism
Mm-hmm.
by which we are able to understand the character, him analyzing situations and trying to figure things out the way he does,
Mm-hmm.
helps the audience to be able to engage and to be with the character, right?
Right.
It's that's one of the big problems in Death Note, is that we're not with the character when he's figuring things out.
Right.
Yeah.
After he
Yeah.
does them, they're explained
Then
to
he can,
us.
yeah, that, that's, yeah. Hey, sometimes it works. I'm glad that My Hero Academia does the way it does. I think it's really great at storytelling. Although something so a lot of so different shows, different movies, different books, anime, etc. They all a lot of them will try to go for a certain emotional thing. Like they're trying to get you to feel something in a certain way. You know, there's all kinds of things. So My Hero Academia, it's underdog kind of series. That's kind of one of the big shticks. Underdog. One of the things they go for, and they go for it all the time, and they do it well. Not that they don't. It's not they don't do it well, but they do it really well. Is the moment where the character who's really wanted something gets that thing, and they're overwhelmed with it. Most of the time, it's Midoriya, and he is receiving some kind of affirmation of himself or praise for something, or being told that you can do it. They have that moment a lot. What actually, another one happens a lot in probably Shonen Battle anime. Is there's the moment where, the moment of a character, not stopping, the won't stop fighting, and it's like, oh my god, he's so injured and he's still going. It's so emotional. They do some of that in the qualifying tournaments, or is it the sports festival? There's the episode between Todoroki, or the battle between Todoroki and Midoriya. Super all about that. Really great. They do it really well, but they go for those emotional moments, and the underdog gets what he wants moment, which is delightful. They do a good job of that.
There's an episode that they did with Sue
Uh-huh.
from and it was the internship episode,
Uh-huh.
and she was kind of the underdog in that, and
Yeah.
like, you need to follow what we say, and
Uh-huh.
then she having to save the day at the end of that episode, which
Yeah.
was see her get what she wanted out of it and really learn and grow as well.
Yeah.
So it
No,
felt
Sue-
like that development was very well done as well.
She's a great character. She's useful. Wow.
Like she is the greatest. Like she's just so good because it's like, what's her quirk? She's a frog.
She's a frog.
She's gonna be useless. No, she's like,
No, she's the most useful character.
she's the most useful character,
That
and
stuff's
she's
actually really
She
great.
gets cold. Don't let her get
Except she gets cold and hibernates. Oh, that's
yeah, she's also a character who doesn't always say a lot, but she has like a really high emotional intelligence and kind
Yeah.
of knows how everyone else is doing all the
Right.
time, and so
Yeah.
when she says something, it is something meaningful
Mm-hmm.
that affects the other characters.
Oh, okay. So this is speaking of the do I want to call them side character development? I guess I guess I'll just call them just say character development. Something I've been really sad about is Todoroshi as a character. So he had this wonderful arc during the tournament thing, not wanting to become his father, trying to kind of deny that. Not that easy, but there was great interaction between him and Midoriya. They have this wonderful struggle, and in the end he works it out and he kind of comes to peace with that. And he has to kind of refigure out what he wants out of this whole thing. And so that was a wonderful arc, and I think he's a wonderful character with an interesting conflict. I love that conflict. But now he doesn't really have driving motivation in the show, and therefore he doesn't really have conflict with anyone else. So he's just kind of there. He's kind of hanging out, being a badass, beating everybody.
I kind of think that what we're gonna see with him next is going to be the results of all of his character development.
Yeah.
We're gonna start seeing him like using his abilities and trying to define his own identity now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, like I'm a few episodes behind where some people are who watch the show without me, but I suspect that that's what we're gonna see.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
think it's gonna be. It should be interesting. I want something. Obviously, this sounds bad. I want something more traumatic to happen to him, so that maybe he can generate like a really strong motivation. Because again, that's the character motivation is what drives them into doing stuff. That's the most interesting things happen with characters they have the strongest motivations, because their motivation is going to come in conflict with someone else's motivation. And that's why Bakugo and Midoriya have these problems. That's one of the Stain had a obvious motivation that put him in conflict with all the heroes. But right now, Todoroshi doesn't have a whole lot going on in terms of that. Again, he's kind of in this floaty place of not knowing exactly, who he is or what he wants to do, who he wants to be. And that's great. I mean, if he was a real person in real life, I'd be like, hey, good job, figure that out. That's great. Take your time.
I also love the time we spent with that character after his encounter with Midoriya. It wasn't this happens in a lot of anime where there's a thing, an event happens to someone,
Right.
and they immediately change and their character is developed. But Todoroshi, after things happen to him, he's sitting there for an episode like, I'm so uncertain. I don't know what to do. What am I gonna do?
Right.
It's great to see that uncertainty and that development just through like the character not knowing anymore rather than suddenly abruptly changing.
Yeah.
I love the way they handle conflict.
Yeah, they do. And one of the great things again about the show is that all the plot, and this is a thing that again you can, if you're ever watching an anime or just a show, a TV show, a movie in general, and it seems like nothing is really happening, ask yourself what the characters want and how that's driving the story. And that's something My Hero Academia does really well. All the characters have definite wants. They all have motivations, a thing they want to do, they want to get, and those motivations are going to drive them into conflict with the other characters. And so, what is Hand Guy's name?
Which one?
Hand Guy. You know, what's his face?
Legs and everything.
This is okay. This is an artistic thing that I'm not thrilled about. Noah and I had this conversation of the hand on the face, costume decision.
Oh, the villain.
You know what? I get it. It's creepy. It's weird. It's super weird. Like you just.
So.
What was it?
Hitoshi Shinso.
Oh yeah. So his costume is he has now for a while for the first bit he had a bunch of hands all over his body, but kind of now he just has a hand on his face. He has a hand on his face, and that is weird. And that is.
Sorry.
What was that?
I was wrong. I'm sorry. That wasn't him.
Oh, you got the mind control guy mixed up with him.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that character, by the way. Mind control guy. Holy crap!
Yeah, that was.
I want him. I want more of that guy. He is so interesting. Holy crap! His motivations are so. His character is so interesting.
Yeah, it was.
He needs to be in the show.
It gets dark.
Maybe we'll find more.
It was also beautiful because they threw that at us. They threw his backstory at us after after he'd done everything, when he was leaving, and it gave so much weight to the other characters in the world. They did this thing where they keep expanding the world outward. Like they start off with like Midoriya and his classmates and his admiring All Might, and then they introduce the heroes, and then they introduce the school, and they introduce the class, and then they're like, there's more than just a class. There's also a tournament where all the other schools come, and then there's not just the A class people. There are the B class people, and there are the support teams, and they expanded that outward and like gave so much more weight and meaning to it by developing him and doing it after like he was beaten when he was walking away.
Yeah. What a
Oh no, I found it.
great what a great moment. That's probably one of my favorite moments of the show is that character. God, so great, so interesting.
That villain is so dark. Tamura Shigaraki.
Yeah. Okay, so was it Shigaraki?
Tamura Shigaraki.
Yeah. So with the hand on the face thing.
Yeah.
I think I get it. It's a weird thing. It kind of is this, reflective moment of the hand, of his master or whatever. I think it's just a little bit too weird, though. I think it would have been a lot more interesting if it was a mask that was shaped like a hand, like that had the design of a hand. That would be. I think that would have been interesting, because I think a literal hand. I think that's a little too much.
I think the reason why it feels a little off and why it feels like it shouldn't be an actual hand is because of the awkwardness of a hand on one's face.
It's not a very graceful thing, having a hand on your face.
It would be a lot more practical if it were a mask with like they were very intricately carved to look like hands.
Yeah, that would be really creepy. A mask like Phantom of the Opera style mask, that was like a hand, and because that's a weird mask, and you'd think, oh wow, that's very bizarre. But he literally just has a hand on his face. Kind of strange. Not my artistic choice, but whatever.
I love the symbolism, and I love the stuff going on there. Like I think it's supposed to like have some connection to All for One, because we have a shot of All for One having his hand on Shigaraki's head in one of the intros, and it's a beautiful shot.
Oh yeah.
And I think like the idea of hands being the imagery all over feels uncomfortable, because hands are like controlling and manipulative, and him being covered in hands feels weird and uncomfortable and like a horror thing for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an interesting costume. It makes a lot of sense. I think they could have abstracted it more into more of a costume and less of just having a bunch of hands on him. That's just my own random artistic nitpick.
I
Maybe
agree,
some people
and
really like it. That's totally fine. I thought it was a little bit much.
I also think that part of the issue is that nothing about the hands on his costume
Mhm.
really supports his power. It's purely artistic choice. It's
That's
not
fair.
like
It is purely kind of
What
artistic choice.
power?
his power. His disintegration.
He disintegrates. Yeah.
At least that's what they have on here.
Wait, what?
Character site right now.
Oh, you're on the character site.
Yeah. Originally, they actually had him with hollow black eyes and a hollow black mouth.
Oh god, in the original like, character art?
Hi?
In some of the original character art?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that's terrifying. Like Midoriya, terrifying. Oh my god.
Which
He
means
looks
calamity.
Say what?
His code name was Sazanka, which means sand calamity.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's another thing that's really interesting. So the character names, if you figure out all the look at all the character names, the kanji, they all are like directly translate to the characters like quirks and personalities. Like a running guy. I know the names of these characters.
Kenya Ida?
Ida, yeah. Ida. His name literally means something like swift runner.
Yeah, and that's something that is something that can't be done outside of like Japanese, because Japan holds on to so much of the meaning of their language, whereas we're like, oh yeah, my name used to be like Roman or Latin or something, and it's a derivative of this, and it's a nasalization of this other name, and it probably means something.
That stuff goes all the way over most of our heads. Just like when like if you've grown up in Japan and you've grown up and you've learned kanji and you've known kanji for a long time and you understand the meaning of that, you meet a character in an anime and you go, oh, I get it, his name is like this, or like something interesting, UA High School. I think I had looked this up because I was really curious about what UA meant, but UA High School, it's something, it's kind of a pun, I think, and it just kind of means something like a hero academy or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it means, but it's just like a pun, I think. If you grew up knowing Japanese, you would get it. That's something I think that happens. Anime just does a lot. They just fill it with all kinds of meaning. Just because kanji, again, it means it's always going to mean more than one thing. So you might as well give it some kind of different meaning. But something that kind of goes over our heads, generally speaking, as Westerners, or that we have to just look up on the internet. But we're almost out of time. Any final thoughts on My Hero Academia? It's really great. Great characters.
I love the little segments that they have in between, saying their blood type and what their favorite food is.
Oh yeah.
I love how random it is, because they'll just be like flash, and you're like, whoa, what did I just see? Yeah. And it's kind of cool. I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, no, that's a very fun little character card. This character is this way. No. Any final thoughts on My Hero Academia? I'm sure later on we'll revisit it, just because it's still running and it's a great show.
I think that Mind Control Guy is best girl when he's in the show,
Mind Control Guy is best girl. At
every other point in the show, perhaps Bakugo is best girl. Bakugo might be best girl.
I think that's fair.
I like Bakugo.
I think Bakugo is best girl.
I don't know why, but everyone, including me, just loves Bakugo. I don't know why.
He's a good character.
He's just great.
He's a good, because you understand him. You understand his motivations. You kind of like, they're not bad motivations. He doesn't want to take over the world. He wants to be the #1 hero. I think that's admirable. He's kind of a hothead, with all that like die stuff. But he's flawed. He's a flawed character. He has a great motivation.
And he's still pushing people away, but he doesn't completely push them away.
Oh yeah.
So when they start following, he's like, fine, whatever.
And his consistent, subtle development.
I also like him. Like, he feels like anyone when they're younger. Like me when I was young.
Oh yeah.
I was doing stupid shit, and I was like, after the fact, I was like, that was really stupid that I did that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mention it, but I'm gonna stop doing it.
Yeah.
Like, because Yeah, he's
Yeah, no,
he's
he's great. I love that. I love his pride has taken, I think, such a huge hit because that was probably his biggest vice is his pride. And he's had to deal with that because of clearly not being the best at everything. He's the best at a lot of stuff, and he's very versatile. And he has grown so much. I think his obvious, relatable motivation that is really close to the primary protagonist of the story's motivation. Midoriya and Bakugo's motivation is almost the same. The only thing that's different are some of the reasons they want that thing. So, you have that. You have his consistent development, his really subtle development. Just a really well-written character. Yeah, definitely best girl. I would agree with that. Great tone. Again, great dialogue. Whole bunch of wonderful stuff. Wonderful world.
I would like
again. I said go watch it again.
What? You're cutting out. Say it again.
I said, go watch it again.
That's true. Go watch it
Yes.
again. Noah, were you about to say something?
I nominate Froppy for waifu, and I nominate Tape Arms for worst waifu.
Yes, I agree. Well, I'd have to think about it. That's probably
No, because Tape Arms, you know that if you married Tape Arms, like 30 years later, you wouldn't hate Tape Arms,
yeah,
but
you'd
you'd just
know you
be
settled.
incapable of loving anymore. And there's like, you'd just be a lifeless relationship where you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I married Tape Arms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Depends on if you're into bondage.
There is always that. There is always that. Alrighty. Well, this has been awesome. This has been fun. We are out of time. But Mandy, this has been great. It's been great to have you. No, it's been great to have you. We will be back here the same time next Saturday. Maybe with a little bit smoother opening and being a little bit more organized. We'll flow into everything. I was a little bit jumbled trying to make sure everything was together, so it was not quite as well laid out as I'd hoped. But hopefully next week it'll be great. We're going to watch another thing, maybe something we've already watched. We were all just a little bit hectic getting here, so we actually didn't get to discuss it. What are we going to discuss next week? Because we'd like to let everybody know. Mandy, do you have anything you'd like to nominate for being our discussion topic next week?
Next one.
Say what?
I nominate Noah to pick the next one.
Okay, that's fair. Noah, what do you think? You have any ideas? It can't be too long. It can't be One Piece.
We could do Mob Psycho 100.
How many seasons is that?
It's one season.
It's one season? 12 episodes?
I believe so.
Have you seen Mob Psycho 100, Mandy? No? Do you want to watch it this week?
I will watch it this week.
All right, next week we're going to be watching, or we're going to be discussing Mob Psycho 100, I believe created by the same person. Was that the same person that made One Punch Man?
Yes, and you just sprung that on me, and then just accepted what I said.
Yeah.
What?
That's how we roll.
I could have named anything.
No, you definitely couldn't have. There are some things that I would have shot down right away, but that was a pretty good choice. So Mob Psycho 100, we'll watch it this week. If you guys want to come and listen next week, you can watch Mob Psycho 100. It's only 12 episodes. Probably how long? Each episode 22 minutes? Or are they
Probably.
longer? So if you want to watch it, come join us next week. And if we watch Mob Psycho 100 next week, and talk about it this coming Saturday, we're probably going to have to talk about One Punch Man the following week.
16 episodes.
16 episodes. So
I need to watch that one. I know.
Mm-hmm. Well, there it is. Perfect opportunity. All right. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an Anime Story podcast. We will thank you for joining us. Thanks for being with us. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're on twitch.tv /AnAnimeStory. I'm getting all the social media set up, so I'll keep everybody posted. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.